Hello. Right. I'm going to pick up on firstly the Behind the Neck Press video. A lot of people were quite critical of that, and I know it had a bad reputation, but I'll try and explain my rationale. A press in that position, okay? So a dumbbell press, perfectly adequate, no risk to the shoulder whatsoever. The only difference is you're pinning your shoulder blades back slightly more. It does stretch the front down, but it doesn't really impinge on the shoulder mobility. Yeah, some people don't have the flexibility to achieve this. Where it goes wrong is when you're coming down and you're having to do this, because as soon as you start to drop your head, you start to change the shoulder alignment. That's where the bulk of the damage with behind the neck press is done. If you're up and you just pin slightly back, then as long as your range of motion allows you to do that movement, you should have no problems whatsoever. People may disagree with this. That's fine. I've done it for, 30 years. Never ever had a shoulder problem from behind the neck press. I've picked shoulder injuries from front press. I've picked shoulder injuries up from dumbbell press, from bench press. Never from behind the neck press. And I like to think I had a pretty decent set of shoulders. Anyway, moving on. Been a bit of interest in my weight loss, so I thought I would expand on it a little bit. So, where do I start? Well, why am I doing it? Because I have no reason to stay big. You see, through the UC projects, though the goal was 400 pounds ultimately, it was never really the goal. The goal was just to be as big as I possibly could. But if you say to someone, I want to be as big as I possibly could, people can't quantify that. They can't visualize that. So I gave it a number. And that number had always stuck in my head from Greg Kovac's days when he was 400 pounds. So it seemed a nice, easy round number to quantify it with. As the project went on, I suppose I did get a little bit more obsessed with the 400 pound mark and a little less obsessed with making sure it was quality muscle. UC2, let's be fair, was a complete and utter fucking disaster. But at the end of one, I was 360 pounds, I was powerful, I was mobile, and I was in a condition that I felt was very, very adequate for my size. I think what a lot of people never really managed to get their heads around was how big I actually was at that. People say I'm big now, but I'm easily 30 pounds down in muscle than when I was. Easily. And I've carried excess weight and I've got steadily fatter since the ending of all this. When I ended UC2, I had a huge amount of water retention. When the water retention came off, actually, my condition wasn't bad. It looked terrible at the time because of the huge amount of water. 55 pounds in water I dropped in 5-6 days. Once that was off, completely transformed the way I looked. I had an ab line. I looked a lot leaner. But from that point, I've lost muscle size and replaced it with fat. Partly a lack of consistency with training, partly a lack of drug use, million factors. I burnt out, I lacked focus, work got in the way because I'd neglected that for a long time. Family got in the way, I'd neglected that for a long time. I hadn't done things around the house or things in the garden, which I'm doing a lot of at the moment. So we've pretty much rebuilt the garden over the last 3-4 weeks, built a deck in. Currently halfway through building a pagoda, but I'm rained off today. And just those sort of things that all been neglected to focus on the pursuit. So I come off the back of this, and medically I'm a bit of a mess. My kidneys are really bad, and my head's a bit all over the place. I hit 415, and I definitely went as far as I could go. At that point, I ballsed up, UC2, and I should have bailed out on it a lot earlier and got my injuries sorted and got into a healthier position and then pushed forward again. But I didn't. I made a mistake to continue. I was committed to the program. I was committed to making the second film. I didn't want to let people down. I wanted to see it through. Bad choice. Ultimately ended up in the failure of the project. And so at that point, I got quite lost in where I was, who I was, what I was doing. Not completely, but for a while I was a bit like a ship without a direction, floating around, bobbing about, not really getting anywhere. I was tired, I was burnt out. So the weight come down, and I went down to about 350. Then I started pushing a bit harder in the gym. I dropped back up to 365. And it was all right, but test levels didn't hold. They started to decline, and eventually I started TRT, which, as you know, I've already done now. And I knew, or I started to get to the point where I just didn't see the point in being 365 pounds. It didn't serve any purpose. I wasn't strong anymore. Well, definitely not in relation to my weight. I mean, currently 3 years off drugs, and my bench 3.5 plates, 4 at a push. If I sort of focused on training for a little bit more consistently, but I can consistently bench 3 plates for sets. Consistently shoulder press 3 plates for sets. Conditionally bent over row 3.5 plates for sets, and so on and so forth. So my strength stayed quite stable at that, and that's just maintenance. That's not really pushing hard. That's getting to the gym. The most I'll get into a week is 5 times. The least might be as little as 2, but I get as much as I can. And I've generally enjoyed training. Like anyone, you'll have bad days. But so I decided actually quite a bit ago that I was going to bring my size down and get rid of all of this non-functional mass that I had. But I dropped down to about 150 kilos, so dropped about 10 kilo. And I lost my head a bit. I wasn't ready for it. I felt like I was small. I felt like I was weak. It just didn't seem right. So I came back up, and then got myself in a better position mentally, and I started again about 4 or 5 weeks ago. I'm down about 8 kilos now. Head's in a lot better place. It's not bothering me. Then generally it isn't bothering me at all. I'm quite happy to do it. I'm finding the diet easy, I suppose, really. I mean, am I hungry? Yeah, of course I fucking am. Do I want to eat shit? Yeah, of course I fucking do. But it's not hard, really. It's just our mental perception of it being hard. I mean, climbing Mount Everest is fucking hard. Running a marathon is hard. An Ironman is hard. Just not eating some shit and reducing your calories, it's not hard, really. I just previously had never had the desire to do so. I don't really know why I've changed my mind on it. I don't really know why I've changed my thought process. I think I just got to the point where it was like, fair enough. I'm done with it. I really am. So I'll come down, and I'll come down to approximately around 300 pounds to start with. I'm not being overly anal about it. Diet will pretty much stay as is at the moment, which is basically low carbs on non-training day and about 150 grams of carbs around the training window on training days, and I train early morning. So it's roughly 70 grams of carbs before I train and 70 grams of carbs post-workout, and that's really the carbs for the day. Protein's around 350, and fats are as low as I can keep them. And Weight's coming off nice and steady. Energy levels are pretty decent. A little bit flat in the gym, which is to be expected, and I'm not really bothered. And just nicely plodding along. And 4 weeks' time, hopefully, if all goes well, the bike arrives, my new push bike. Have I told you that? Bought a bike? Yeah, bought a Soul Stomper from Soul Beach Cruisers in California. So, they want it first in UK, actually, apparently. Anyway, so I've got a copper version of that coming over. So I'll start my cardio, and there's no denying that the first week of that is going to absolutely fucking destroy me. But in a couple of weeks, I'll get used to it, and I enjoy riding a bike, actually. I just haven't done it for years because I've never had one strong enough to take my weight. These things are. And that will then be the next stage of the diet, where the cardio increases, and I respond better with not going too low in food and actually increasing cardio. And then when I get down, I'll probably have a little bit of a stabilization, a bit of a recomp, maybe bubble back up 10 pounds or so. Let it settle, get used to it, maintain it, and see where I go from there. I'm not using drugs. I'm definitely not using fat burners throughout this process. One, because there is no need, because I'm not going to be probably sub 10, 11% body fat at the best anyway. And two, this is a lifestyle change. So drugs will get me there quicker, but they won't help the adjustment. They won't help the adjustment in calorie intake. They won't help the adjustment in lifestyle. So I'm better doing it without. Otherwise, there'll become that element of, well, I need to keep them in because, I haven't actually adapted my diet to my body weight correctly. So that's the basic plan and process. Excuse me. Work being mental. And for a lot of years, pursuing those goals, work took a little bit of a back foot. And family life took a little bit of a back foot. I tried to keep things in balance, but it was inevitable that, I had to train. So that ate a couple of hours a day every day, and I had to eat, and that ate into things. So I'm more focused now on giving back to my family for what they'd given me. I don't know if that makes sense to people, but, it's my turn now to support my family and what they pursue, particularly the youngest. My eldest is troublesome, to say the least. But she's trying to find her own way of life, and that's what she needs to do. I support where I can, but I'm mindful she doesn't learn from advice, unfortunately. She's one of these people that learns from mistake. So I let her make mistakes and just keep an overview to make sure they don't become too consequential. It's about stuff like that now. Unfortunately, I'm estranged from my son, which is upsetting and not nice, but there's until he's willing to talk, there's very little I can do at this stage. So, anyway, and that's a bitter ex situation. That's nothing to do with anything I've sort of particularly chosen in the recent years. And so that's it. That's the motivation behind it. I'm not training for a com, because I had a reminder post came up of when I went from 300 to 365. Well, about 310 to 365 actually. Picture. So I put a picture up about that and just put a post up, and now I'm on the opposite way down, the way back to the 300. And it was shocking how many people had a problem with it, and how many people was like, well, where's your progress pics, and this, that, and the other. I was like, the fuck do I need progress pics for? I'm not doing this for any of you cunts. I'm doing it for myself. It's a choice I've made. I stayed big because I wanted to stay big. Now I don't want to stay big. Well, what is the issue? Can't someone change their fucking mind? Really? I'm nearly 50. I like being big. But £300 ain't fucking small, particularly if you're in half decent nick. What condition I'll be in at £300? I don't know. If I have to go down to 280, then I go down to 280. It doesn't matter anymore, Done it, got the t-shirt, moved on. My training has always been important to me, but it is definitely at this point in my life taken a little bit of a back step, a little bit of a back seat to other things. developing the business being one. Because I don't know how many of you are aware that though I do coaching and I do the one-to-one support for users personally, as in public, there is a corporate side where I work with organisations as well, and that is growing. And that's something I'm enjoying developing. So, there's all sort of aspects going on at the moment, and obviously enjoying family life. So, there you go. Is a six-pack important to me? No. But at the same time, I have decided that at this point in my life, there is no need to carry this weight. I might get down to 300 and think, yeah, fuck it, I don't like this, and build back up again. I don't know. But at this point, it doesn't seem any use in carrying this size. I've got no purpose for it. My size got me the intention I wanted, in the sense of being able to promote what I do as a drugs counsellor and that sort of thing. And that was always a side effect of the project, but they serve their purpose, and it's time to move on. I don't know why people are finding this so hard. I mean, I got a lot of stick when I was big. I should be lean. I should be shredded. And at that point, it didn't interest me. That wasn't primary for me. Now, I'd rather be lighter. Not necessarily shredded. Well, if I could have been 400 pound with a six-pack, fucking hey, of course I'd have gone for it. Who wouldn't? But the size and mass won over the need for a six-pack, where now the need to be lighter, or the desire would be a better word, it's not really a need, but a desire to be lighter, overweighs being big. And that's all it is. It is quite simple. But for some reason, people seem to be having a problem getting their head around it. So, anyway, that's that. I do have some studies I still to fucking go through. But, next week, as far as I'm planning, I'm only going to be on the road Wednesday. So as a result of that, I should get plenty of time in down here. My office is in the basement. Well, the house is 3 stories, it's built into a hill, so it's 2 stories at the front, 3 stories at the back. So it is down, my office, but it's not underground like a normal basement. But I'll get plenty of time to be down here. Sorry, I'm going off on tangents for no fucking reason here. I'll get plenty of time to be down here, and I should be able to get some decent videos up. I know the channel's been a bit shit just lately. I'm at a point where I don't really know what to do with it. I don't know where to go with it at this point, because there's not really much new stuff. So, do I go over old stuff again? I've held off on the training videos for the reason is that my training partner's building a gym at home, which will be quite a decent gym. And we're going to switch the training videos to there. So this is the reason why I haven't done much in the way of the training videos just recently. But yeah, so it's at this point it's a bit on standstill, and I don't know where I go next with this. I don't know what I do with the channel. Do I just keep putting up my random bullshit thoughts and everyday bollocks, or do I do something more specific? I haven't decided. A few people have said I've got a good base and it would do good to develop it more commercially, which would make me a lot of money, but the money isn't everything. And I don't have a bad wage and I'm not overly unhappy with my income, so there isn't really a big financial driver there. And I don't want to sell out, and I want to stay true to me. And I quite like the amateurness of my channel and the fact that the sound fucks up half the time. And I mean, I've got this nice fancy backdrop now, but I quite like that element to the fact that it is just me sat in a room chatting bollocks. And I don't ever want to become all, here's the Crossland Hour, sponsored by Meta Rex, and all that bollocks. I can't be fucked with all that shit. But maybe it's where it has to go to sustain its growth. I don't know. We will see. I really need to sit and think. I also need to learn to use fucking Instagram properly as well. I'm shit with it. But anyway, that was it. Yes, for those of you that are UK based, I am now an authorised Magbar dealer. So you know the Magbars are the fancy grips. I can now sell those. So the full set 7 is £660 delivered. I'm currently out of stock of the medium grip underhand or supinate. Everything else is currently in stock. If you're interested, email me, dave@crosslands.org.uk for a price. Hey, fuck it, you know what I mean? I make every opportunity to advertise where I can. But other than that, not much happened this week, really. So I'm going to get off, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Oh, fucking hell, a bit of a long one. I'm going to go for a coffee and a chill, I think, and contemplate life, universe, and everything in it. So take care, and I'll speak to you soon.